So some younger influencers today on X would say you can't criticize Jews, for instance, okay? And you're going to be called anti-Semitic, you're going to be called this, you're going to be called that. And for many years, that was scary to have that, label, which today, younger kids, social media, they no longer fear that label that adults feared 10, 20, 30 years ago.
I think the most important thing that I have come to realize as a Jew is that if you disagree with the political policies of the state of Israel, that does not mean that you are anti-Jewish. That it is possible to disagree with the government of Israel and have political disagreements, but not be anti-Jewish.
At what point does one graduate to actually be an anti-Semitic?
When you begin to say, for example, that Jews are involved in a global conspiracy, they're linked to the Illuminati and whatever, and you go along with that kind of a narrative where you're characterizing an entire people negatively. You're not just disagreeing with the policies of the government of the state of Israel. And likewise, I find myself in an interesting position because there are many young Jewish people who greatly object to what is going on in Gaza. And I don't agree with them. I think that what Hamas has demonstrated, and they're very cult-like in their indoctrination process and their extreme leadership, what they demonstrated to the Israelis is no matter what we do, we really can't trust you. And because you attacked unprovoked, you murdered all these people, you took hostages, and at the same time, we were hoping that by you getting money for infrastructure and everything in Gaza, that we could somehow come to terms with you in a peaceful way. And Hamas struck out, and then the Israelis felt, well, we can't really trust you. And they took this action to be essentially a declaration of war against Israel, and they went after them. And there are many young people that are Jews that are on college campuses across the country and who feel very negatively about the way in which Israel has responded to Hamas and how the collateral damage, that is all of these Palestinian people who are completely innocent and had nothing to do with supporting that, and many of whom have themselves doubts about Hamas and grievances with Hamas, are suffering disproportionately. And so it's a very, and I think what you have to do in situations like that is not broadly characterize an entire people in a negative way, be it the Palestinians or be it the Jewish people. And you can't conclude that all Jewish people support the state of Israel, because many Jewish people don't support certain actions of the state of Israel. And then you have to recognize that the Israelis themselves are arguing, for example, as to whether or not the ultra-Orthodox will serve in the military, which is a very contentious issue right now in Israel. So I think that cults and cult-like thinking tends to paint everything black and white, no shades of gray. And our lives are often in shades of gray, much more nuanced than
you know what conclusion I've come up with? Here's a conclusion I've come up with. And by the way, I want to ask you about a couple cults with kids, 7, 6, 4, a few things before we wrap up. But here's a conclusion I've come up with. Somebody may listen to you and say, what are you talking about, Rick? Jews don't doctrinate? And they don't send all their kids to Israel? And they don't ask them to go into IDF? And AIPAC doesn't recruit people to bring them to Israel? And Israel doesn't prevent negative media in Israel? What are you talking about? Like, it's full-on cult-like of what Israel is doing to convert. Let me just finish, and then you'll see where I'm going with this.
Okay.
So, and then you're going to come back and say, well, no, because of this, because of that. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but what I'm trying to go to is the following. Here's where I'm going to. Where I'm going to is the following. Everybody is in a cult, including you. I think you're in a cult. I think I'm in a cult. I think you're also a cult leader. Because I think as a cult leader, you're leading the cult of people who want to expose evil people who do harm to others. So you have a following of people that can't wait to see who you're going to take down next. And you have a cult-like following where people follow you because they're like, I can't wait to see him take. Who was the guy that was getting the pedophiles with pizza that would go to a kid's house and he would do the interviews? He had a big show. Rob, I think we had him on this. Chris Hansen. Chris Hansen was like, oh my God, who's he going to get next? Who's he going to get next? Right? We had him on the podcast once. So to me, I don't know if, like, my position, I lived in Iran 11 years, almost 11 years. So I saw what it was like to live with Hezbollah when you're a Christian family. I witnessed it. I lived it. And in Germany at a refugee camp, I was with Afghanis, Pakistanis, everybody that was leaving a Muslim, driven country to escape to somewhere that gave them freedom, but they were also Muslim themselves. So I've witnessed it firsthand. And I've spent a lot of time with Jews, spent a lot of time with Scientology. You notice I was complimentary of Scientologists. People get upset. He's shilling for Scientology. I've never had a bad experience with a Scientologist, ever. I've never had a bad experience with Jews, ever. Do I think Scientologists are part of a cult? Yes. Do I think so are Jews? Yes. Do I think they're very proud of their background? Yes. Do I think I am as well? Yes. The crossing of the line to me is when it becomes about, with the words you said, the cash, the adulation, the sexual favor, take the sexual favor out, the cash, okay, yeah, some of these guys are doing it for cash, okay? You know, what percentage of billionaires in America are Jewish? 9.6%. Oh my God, but what percentage of the world population is Jewish? 15 million on 8.5 billion. Where are you at? You're point something percent. Small community. It's a very small community. So, it's more my position with this is more, let's stop acting like we don't all admire somebody. Let's stop acting like we don't have somebody. Like Nixon gets, two sides of the story. There's a part of Nixon that he did a lot of good. The other side of Nixon is he empowered China to be able to equalize Russia because USSR was so powerful. They needed somebody, China, that was number 8, number 9 economy to come and take after Russia that was number 2 or number 3 because they were a threat and Russia wasn't negotiating. So they were using triangular diplomacy with Kissinger to bring that guy up, and then boom, and then we got off the gold standard. All the rich get richer, poor get poor. The middle income's getting destroyed. It's because of Nixon. If we didn't get off of gold, we probably wouldn't be in a situation we're in today. The moment we got off the gold, then it's all about what? Hey, trust me. This is the American dollar. You can trust us. You can trust us. But then Nixon also did a lot of good stuff. So to sit there and see both sides tear apart anything I just said.
Well, I just want to focus on a couple of things.
Please.
First of all, deception. Is there a bait and switch con with the group that you're involved in? For example, I went to religious school. I was bar mitzvahed. I went to Hebrew school. There was no deception. What my family believed or thought I was going to go through in indoctrination is in fact what happened. It wasn't like a group like Kip McKeon, which we discussed, the ICOC, where there was this mask, we're just Christians, when that isn't really what they're all about. And the indoctrination was locking you into a discipleship system controlled by Kip McKeon. That was not the case in my religious education. And I think that, for example, when a Catholic priest or a nun is expected to take vows and they become involved in a religious order, they know what they're getting involved in. And the order explains to them, this is what we're all about. These are the sacrifices that you will have to make. Celibacy, vow of silence, a devotion system that they may have. So is the group deceptive? Is there a mask that they wear to the public in order to pull people in, and then once you become involved, it's something completely different? Is it a bait and switch con? And then second, what I would say is, I really don't care how a group believes. They can believe whatever they want, but they may not behave in whatever way they wish under the guise of beliefs. So, for example, when they cross the line criminally and they're doing things to defraud people, abuse people, etc., that's where they step over the line and it becomes an issue of criminal prosecution. And I've been involved in a number of cases, testified as an expert witness. And again, it's not about belief, it's about behavior. So we may not like what another group believes, but as long as they behave in a way that is not criminal and they are not hurting people, then we can say, well, I don't agree with your beliefs, but you're entitled to them. So if they want to believe that, Scientology is largely kind of a science fiction space opera, their belief system, Xenu and intergalactic.
Well, we're all being indoctrinated. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. And the part that we have to be careful with is where I'm trying to get from you is, I'm trying to say, at what point, at what point does it go into a bad thing? You said something earlier. The organization lacks accountability, right? There's no open financial where employees or people are, what's going on with the money? Where did the money go to? People don't know the finances. So, hey, be open about where you're at financially with the company. Lack of accountability, force pushing you away from your own family. Some of those things, I'm tracking with that. I'm with that part.
Hi, I'm Rick Allen Ross, cult expert, intervention specialist, author of the book Cults Inside Out. You can find me on Connect.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.